was supposed to be an ordinary Thursday night. Maya, 24, sat cross-legged on her couch, gray hoodie draped loosely over her shoulders, laptop humming softly as the rain battered against her windows. Her small suburban house was quiet, just the faint tick of the wall clock and the steady drip of tea cooling on the table. But then, knock, 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 slow, heavy, unmistakable. Her heart lurched. She wasn't expecting anyone. She glanced at the clock. 12:07 a.m. Her porch light flicked on, triggered by the motion sensor. In its pale glow, she saw it. A tall silhouette standing perfectly still just beyond the frosted glass. Maya had always thought of her apartment as a sanctuary. At 24, she worked long hours at a bookstore in town, and when the day ended, home was her escape. A small one-story rental tucked between two empty houses. It wasn't much, but it was hers. That Friday night, rain pattered against the windows and thunder rolled in the distance. She curled up on the couch in her gray hoodie and jeans, a steaming mug of tea at her side, the soft glow of her laptop screen painting her face. The storm outside felt oddly comforting until the knock came. 3 sharp, deliberate raps against the front door. Maya's heart skipped. She froze, listening, convinced she'd imagined it. But then it came again, steady, deliberate, impossible to ignore. Her fingers tightened around her phone. It was nearly midnight. Nobody ever visited her this late. She tiptoed toward the door, each floorboard creaking under her weight. Through the frosted glass panel, she could just make out the faint outline of a figure on the porch, tall and still, as though waiting. A shiver crawled down her spine. She didn't move, didn't speak, only held her breath, straining to hear. Silence. Then another knock, louder this time. Maya backed away, pulse racing, thoughts tangling in panic. Maybe it was a neighbor? Maybe someone needed help? But something about the way the figure stood, motionless, patient, felt wrong. If it had been an emergency, wouldn't they call out? She grabbed her phone, thumb hovering over the call button, when the porch light flickered from the storm. For an instant, she swore she saw a pale face tilt toward the glass, lips stretching into something that looked almost like a grin. Maya stumbled back, whispering under her breath, "Someone's outside." Maya locked every door and window she could find. Her hands trembled as she checked the back door twice, then a third time, the deadbolt clicking into place. The storm outside only made everything worse. Wind rattled the siding, branches scraped the windows like fingers trying to get in. She forced herself to breathe, telling herself it was nothing. Maybe some stranger had gotten lost in the rain. Maybe they'd already gone. But when she dared to peek through the curtain in her living room, her stomach dropped. The figure was still there. He stood at the edge of the porch now, just beyond the glow of the porch light, a tall silhouette blurred by the rain. He didn't knock again. He didn't call out. He only stood, head tilted as if watching her through the thin curtain. Maya's pulse thundered in her ears. She ducked away from the window, clutching her phone. Her thumb hovered over 911, but doubt gnawed at her. What if it really was just someone needing help? What if she overreacted and embarrassed herself? She crept back toward the bedroom, deciding to wait it out. But halfway down the hall, her phone buzzed. A text message. Her blood turned to ice. Unknown number. Why did you back away from the window? Maya's knees nearly buckled. She hadn't given her number to anyone new in months. Her mind scrambled for answers. Maybe it was a prank, maybe someone was messing with her. But as thunder boomed overhead, she realized something far worse. Whoever was outside didn't just know her house. They knew her. They could see her every move. She killed the light, heart hammering in the dark, whispering a silent prayer that the storm would drown out the sound of her fear. Maya crouched in the corner of her bedroom, every muscle stiff with fear. The shadows seemed to move with the storm, every flicker of lightning carving strange shapes across the walls. She gripped her phone like a lifeline, finally dialing 911 with trembling fingers. The line clicked. 911, what's your emergency? Her voice quavered. Someone's outside my house. They've been watching me for almost an hour. I think they know who I am. The dispatcher's voice was calm, steady. Stay on the line with me. Door's locked? Yes, everything's locked. Do not open the door. An officer is on the way. Do you see the person right now? Maya swallowed hard, crawling to the edge of the curtain. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the yard for just a second. Empty. The figure was gone. Her relief was short-lived. I don't see him anymore, she whispered. Okay, stay put. Officers will be there soon. Tap, tap, tap. The sound came from the window beside her bed. Slow, deliberate, the unmistakable rhythm of fingernails dragging across the glass. Maya's blood froze. She turned, barely daring to look. In the pale flash of lightning, a hand smeared with rain pressed against the window. Behind it, a face loomed. Those same wide, grinning lips she'd seen on the porch. She screamed into the phone. He's at the window. He's at the window. The dispatcher's voice sharpened. Stay calm. Do not engage. Police are minutes away. But minutes felt like forever. The hand slid slowly down the glass before vanishing into the storm. Maya clutched the phone, tears streaming down her face. She knew now this wasn't just some random prowler. Whoever he was playing with her. And the game had only just begun. The house had become a cage. Every creak of the floorboards, every howl of wind felt like a warning. Maya's breaths came shallow, her chest tight as she pressed herself against the wall. Phone still clutched to her ear. The dispatcher kept talking, trying to anchor her, but the words blurred in her panic. Her eyes darted to the front door. Had she locked the chain? She thought she had, but in her fear, doubt clawed at her. She crept down the hall, her heart pounding so loudly she was sure it would give her away. Halfway there, the power cut out. Darkness swallowed the house. The hum of the refrigerator died, leaving only the storm outside. Lightning flickered, illuminating the hallway for a heartbeat. And in that brief light she saw it, his silhouette against the frosted glass of the front door. Tall, still, waiting. Maya's instincts screamed to run, but another part of her, deeper and steadier, rose to the surface. She thought of her younger sister, who sometimes stayed over. What if this had happened on one of those nights? What if the thing outside had come when she wasn't alone? Her fear twisted into something sharper. Defiance. She darted into the kitchen, yanking open the drawer and gripping the heaviest knife she could find. Her hand shook, but she tightened her grip, whispering to herself, I won't let him in. Not tonight. Another knock echoed through the house, slow, taunting, deliberate. This time Maya didn't retreat. She stood in the darkness, knife glinting in her trembling hand, facing the door head-on. For the first time since the nightmare began, she wasn't just hiding, she was ready. The storm raged, rattling the windows as Maya stood frozen, knife in hand, staring at the faint silhouette beyond the glass. Her pulse thundered in her ears, each beat reminding her she was still alive, still fighting. Another knock rang out, louder this time, like a dare. She gritted her teeth and shouted, I've called the police. They're on their way. Her voice cracked but carried strength she didn't know she had. For a moment there was silence. Then, as if the words had weight, the figure shifted. Slowly it leaned back from the door, retreating into the storm. Lightning cracked, and in that fleeting flash, she caught its face. Pale, stretched, eyes too wide, mouth curling in a grin that didn't belong to anything human. The darkness swallowed it whole. Maya stood trembling, knife raised, waiting for the next knock. But none came. Minutes dragged like hours until the distant wail of sirens broke through the storm. Blue and red lights bled through the rain-streaked windows, and the pounding in her chest began to slow. The police searched the property, combing through mud and trees, but found nothing, no footprints, no trace of a visitor. Just silence. They told her it was likely a trick of her imagination, stress mixed with fear. But Maya knew better. She had seen the face, even weeks later she couldn't shake it. Some nights, when the wind rose, she swore she heard it again. 3 deliberate knocks echoing in the dark. Yet she no longer collapsed into fear. Instead, she locked her doors tighter, held her sister close, and whispered to herself, I faced it once. I can face it again. Because sometimes the most terrifying thing isn't that someone is outside. It's realizing they might never leave.